Think of your code like a time machine. Every change you make is a snapshot in history. Git is the tool that captures those snapshots or versions. Lets you rewind, fast forward, and most importantly, helps team work on the same code without stepping on each other's toes. In this video, we'll explore how Git works under the hood, from local commits to remote pushes, staging versus committing, and the most effective branching strategies used by teams at scale. Whether you are just getting started or managing a multi-team repo, this will give you the foundation and clarity you need. Let's dive in. Every time you work on your code, Git quietly tracks what's happening behind the scenes across three zones. First, there is a working directory. This is where you write code, fix bugs, and make changes. It's just your local files, nothing Git will remember yet. So when you're writing code in your IDE, say VS Code or IntelliJ, you're working in what's called the working directory. This is just your local project folder. You can make hundreds of changes here, and Git won't remember any of them yet. Now let's say you fixed bug in login.js and updated README file, but you only want to save the login fix for now. That's where the staging area comes in. Think of this as a waiting room or shopping cart for changes. When you run git add on a file, you are taking changes from the working directory and placing them in the staging area. Telling Git, I want to include these in the next snapshot. It's like selecting specific files to save. So you run git add login.js, and then Git staging area is holding just that file, like saying, I am ready to save this one. And then you run git commit with message fix login bug. When you run git commit, Git takes all stage changes, the ones in the waiting area, and permanently saves a snapshot in your local repository. This repository is in the hidden.git folder and contains the entire history of your project on your computer. Every commit is like checkpoint in time. You can always go back to it. Now you might wonder, why not just commit changes directly? Why is this extra step called staging? Well, imagine you fixed a bug, updated the README, and added a debug console.log all in one go. Now you want to only commit the bug fix, not the other stuff. And that's where staging shines. It lets you handpick what goes into each commit, line by line or file by file. You stay in control and your commit history stays clean. And yes, it's also a safety net. You can double check what you are about to commit with git status or git diff before making it permanent. So in short, working directory is your IDE, staging area is your selection tray, and local repo is your private timeline of commits. This setup gives you full control. You can commit in chunks, try ideas, undo mistakes, all before sharing anything with the team. Which brings us to remote repository. So you have made a few commits. They are saved in your local repo on your machine, but your team can't see them yet. To share your changes, you push them to a remote repository, like GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. You can think of the remote repo as the cloud version of your codebase, the central hub where your whole team collaborates. You run git push origin main, and just like that, your local commits sync up to the remote branch. Now let's say your teammate pushed something while you were coding. To grab their updates, you run git pull. That's like saying, fetch anything new from the cloud and merge it into my local copy. So the full Git workflow looks like this. You edit, stage, commit, push, and then pull. And that's how your code and your team stay in sync. This diagram shows the working directory, staging area, local repo, and remote repo, along with key commands that move changes between these stages. For example, you edit files in the working directory, use git add to stage them, and then git commit to store a snapshot in your local repo. You can git push committed changes to the remote repo, and others can git pull them into their own local repos. The git checkout command lets you switch between different snapshots or branches, updating your working directory. And if you need to shelve changes temporarily, git stash moves changes out of the working directory into a git stash stack, so you can work on something else, and later git stash apply or git stash pop brings them back. Now let's say you are building a new feature, say a dark mode toggle, but you don't want to mess up with the stable code on main. So what do? You create a new branch. Let's call it feature/dark mode. This gives you a safe space to work, like a parallel timeline. You can experiment, commit, test, all without touching the main branch. Once the feature is ready, you open a pull request and merge it back into main. That's the core idea of feature branching. Isolate work until it's ready to go live. This is the foundation for most Git workflows, and it scales well from solo devs to big tech. Once you understand feature branches, the next question is, how do teams organize all these branches? Let's break down the 5 most popular strategies: feature branching, GitFlow, GitHub Flow, GitLab Flow, and trunk-based development. Each box here shows a simplified branch structure for that strategy, with circles representing commits and lines representing branches. We'll break down each of these strategies below and discuss how they work in practice. Feature branching is a straightforward approach. For each new feature or bug fix, you create a dedicated branch of the main branch. You do all your work on that feature branch, and once the feature is complete and tested, you merge the branch back into the main branch, often via a pull request. The idea is that the main branch, for example main or master, always contains production-ready code, and all development happens in isolated branches. So say we have a main branch. When you start working on a feature A, you create a new branch, let's call it feature A. Now you have a separate line of commits just for feature A. Others can continue adding commits to main for other work, and you are not interfering with each other. When feature A is done, you merge feature A back into main, usually through code review process. Then you might delete the feature A branch since its work is now in main. This keeps incomplete or experimental work off the main branch, so the main branch is always stable. In fact, multiple developers can collaborate on one feature branch if needed, without affecting others. However, you do have to integrate or merge eventually, which can lead to merge conflicts if the main branch has moved on quite a bit. Especially if the main branch has moved on quite a bit. So regularly updating your feature branch with the latest main via merging or rebasing can help avoid big conflicts later. Feature branching is extremely common. It's the basis of workflows on GitHub and many teams' processes. GitFlow is a more structured branching model. It's suited for projects with regular release cycles and multiple versions in maintenance. GitFlow introduces specific branches for different purposes. A master or main branch for production-ready code, and each commit here is a release. A develop branch where integration happens, the latest development changes that will go into the next release. Then there are feature branches that branch off from develop, not from main, and each new feature is developed on feature branch, then merged back into develop. Release branches are for preparing a new version release. When develop has enough features for a release, you create a release branch, for example release 2.0, and on this branch, you do final polish, bug fixes, and version bumping. When ready, it gets merged into master, and also back into develop to catch any last-minute fixes. And then we have hotfix branches to quickly address issues in production. So if a bug is found in the live product, you branch off master to create a hotfix. Fix it and then merge the hotfix back into both master for an immediate release and develop, so the fix is included in the ongoing development line. As you can see, there are a lot of moving parts here. Developers have to understand which branch to use at which time. So merging between multiple branches, feature, develop, release, master, etc. can be heavy. For small teams or continuous development environments, GitFlow may feel like overkill. GitHub Flow is a lightweight, simple workflow popularized by GitHub. This is what you'll see in most open source repos. There is one main branch, often called main, that is always deployable. Every commit to main is ideally a potential release. For any new work, create a short-lived feature branch of main, often directly on your local clone or fork. Do your work on that branch, and when the work is ready, open a pull request or PR to merge your feature branch into main. This is where code review happens. After approval and automated test passing, the branch gets merged into main. Deployment can happen from main at any time. Some teams even automate deployment upon merging a PR. No dedicated develop or release branches. If a critical bug arises in production, you might create a quick fix branch of main, then PR and merge, similar to hotfix concept, but there is no separate long-lived branch for it. GitLab Flow is somewhat a hybrid between GitFlow and GitHub Flow, introduced by GitLab. It adds the idea of environment or release branches to the simple GitHub flow model to better handle deployments to multiple environments, staging, production, etc. Like GitHub flow, you often develop feature branches of main and merge back into main when ready. The code in main is considered ready for deployment, like GitHub flow. However, GitLab flow suggests using environment-specific branches or tags. For example, you might have a staging branch and a production branch. After merging features into main, you could deploy to a staging environment by merging main into staging. Once tested, you merge main into production, or you tag a release and deploy the tag to production. Alternatively, some implementations use protected branches for environments, or use tags for releases. The key point: GitLab flow connects commits to deployments in specific environments. So, it's more structured than GitHub flow when you have multiple deployment targets. It allows you to say this commit is on staging versus this is on production by controlling what's merged into those branches. It's especially useful for teams doing DevOps with clear promotion of code from dev, staging to prod. However, there's a bit more complexity here. You need to manage merging or tagging for releases. If not disciplined, environment branches can drift. It's not as heavy as full Git flow, but it's not quite as hands-off as pure GitHub flow. Teams using GitLab CI/CD often adopt this. For instance, you might automatically deploy any commit on main to test an environment, and only when you are happy, merge that commit to production branch to deploy to prod. Trunk-based development or TBD is all about simplicity and continuous integration. Here, there is only one long-lived branch, usually called trunk or main, and developers commit to it directly or via very short-lived branches. It's called trunk like a tree trunk to signify it's the single source of truth where all work eventually lands quickly. In traditional branching models, developers often go days or even weeks without merging back to main. When they finally do, the branch has drifted, and now you have got merge hell, conflicts, broken builds, and unexpected bugs. Trunk-based fixes that. Everyone merges back daily or multiple times a day. Conflicts are smaller and easier to resolve and never pile up. When everyone commits to the same branch and tests run on every commit, you know immediately if something breaks. CI systems like Google's Blaze, Meta's Sandcastle, or Amazon's internal pipelines kick in on every change. This tight feedback loop means you catch bugs early, you fix faster, and you deploy faster. In trunk-based development, new features are hidden behind feature flags. So even if a feature isn't fully done, it can be merged into main, just disabled in production. This means your code is always deployable, long-lived branches aren't needed, and you reduce code rot and integration delays. Imagine 5,000 engineers working on one repo. With long-lived branches, the repo diverges like crazy. Integration becomes a nightmare. But with trunk-based dev, everyone lands changes incrementally. The repo stays stable and up to date. Global factors like changing an API used by 100 teams are actually doable. And that is why Google, Meta, and Amazon enforce it. It keeps the code base clean and moving. Trunk-based is the foundation for modern DevOps. You can't really deploy 100 times a day if you're waiting on weeks of branch merges. It's not about fewer branches, it's about delivering value faster with more safety. And here's the clean, effective summary of the 5 most popular GitHub workflows we discussed. Feature branching is a safe, lightweight default. GitHub Flow is ideal for smaller teams and keeps things simple and fast. GitFlow is best for projects with structured release cycles and larger teams requiring clear separation of development stages. GitLab Flow is suitable for teams needing a balance between simplicity and structured environment deployments. And finally, trunk-based deployments is preferred by large tech companies aiming for rapid integration and deployment. If this helped demystify Git for you, share it with your team or drop a comment with the workflow your team uses. In the next video, we'll dive into how big tech companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon uses Git or Git-like systems at massive scale and the custom tools they have built along the way. Subscribe if you want to catch that. And until then, happy committing.